Good afternoon, everybody. Want to have a quick video dealing with some mechanical aspects of a trust or a probate estate dealing with banking. Um, as you might know, if you have a trust, you're trying to avoid probate court. If you've got a will, you might need to be going to probate court or you would be going to court. And that all has an effect when you go to the bank on what documents you need to get started. Um, yeah, that's me and Gina over there in the corner. I just came up on my screen. I'm like, hey, that shows up on my desk. So that's, yeah, me and Gina. And yes, I have got not shaven because I'm thinking about a beard. I'm moving that direction. So we'll see how it works out. But that's personal stuff. On the business end, I want to talk about how to open an account. And I'm using a checklist from one of my clients, Sincere Bank, and what they provided to me because we did a promotional event on estates and trust planning there in Zionsville a couple weeks ago. And so if you have a trust, you got to provide a bunch of documents to the bank. You're going to need a social security number, some kind of verification on that, and if there's a business involved, or it's an irrevocable trust beyond the context of this conversation, you might need or you will need an EIN number from the IRS showing the tax ID number for the trust itself. The bank will also open up a signature card for whoever is going to be signing on behalf of the trust, and they will need some kind of verification like a driver's license typically, or passport, something like that. They're going to need copies of the trust papers. So your trust is private because your bank account is private. Nobody in the public is going to see that necessarily. But we do have to give some documentation to the bank. Sometimes more, sometimes less, kind of just depends on who you're dealing with. But you will need trust papers. Certainly the title page. You'll need to know who the people are that are funding the trust. Typically that's called the grantor. You're going to need to have identification for who the trustees are and who maybe the successors are. So often spouses, husband and wife, and then maybe a child, an adult child, or a corporate trustee would be involved as well. You'd have to identify those people and also demonstrate the trustees' powers within the trust, that they have the authority to do banking transactions. Typically, I would like to think that every lawyer drafts a trust like we do and has banking powers specifically enumerated in the documents, but the bank still has to prove it, right? You can say it and you can assume that it's going to be there, but you really need to prove it to the bank. So you got to provide those pages that are relevant there. Then a signature page on the trust itself is going to be needed, so you kind of get the beginning, the meat of the power that's being used by the bank, those provisions, as well as a signature page. That ought to be enough. You might be able to get away with an affidavit of the trust as well that has some of that information, but it just depends on the bank. So that's what you would need there. If it's somebody's trust who's passed away, you're also going to need to provide the death certificate for like the grantor who created the trust, and now we're moving on to the successor trustee. You're going to want to have to prove that death certificate, certified copy, to the bank. It's kind of a lot up front maybe, but if you went to the other extreme and you were in probate court and you're providing letters testamentary, you're going to have to provide that. You're still going to have a signature card, and you're going to have a death certificate there. But there's, a stack of paper you need with the probate court that I haven't mentioned here just to get to having letters testamentary that you would take into the bank and open your bank account. So a lot of paperwork involved, not necessarily difficult. Of course, on the probate side, you're going to have a bit of a public record. On the trust side, a private transaction, so it's a little bit more not in the open public. And a lot of people like that. So if you'd like to learn more about making a trust for your estate plan, we'd be happy to help you. And thanks to my friends at Sincere Bank. Christy King was our host that day, so give a shout out to her. Let us know what we can do to help you, and have a great day. I am wearing the red for Christmas. It's not quite Christmas, but I'm ready for it. Have a good day.